Well. Hopefully this is actually working. We'll see. Like always, sword friends, I don't actually have any plans. I'm more or less just turned on the old stream and thought I'd give it a go and see what happens. I have no idea how well it will work or if you can hear me, because simultaneously I'm streaming while I'm working on a video and rendering it. And so, I don't know, it looked like I had a little bandwidth. I made you spend too much money? What'd I do? Which ones? Which ones, Tengu? What did I done do now? You bought the swords. Ah, okay. I'm glad to hear it. One, I'm glad to hear that Beiser is shipping swords and you are getting them and that you are enjoying them. I suppose I should adjust my camera so that I'm in the middle of the frame. Is that what professionals do? I'm glad that they are sending swords and reliable and that you are enjoying them. That is fantastic. Stephanie, I am trying to multitask. My concern is like I can't really do much fun stuff with my computer when I render things. And this one had a bunch of stuff on. Usually I have like a render machine that I can use kind of off to the side so I still can do something productive or fun with my other computer. But this one had files scattered all around and I didn't feel like finding where they all were and consolidating them to. So no, basically. I'm trying to multitask. I'm not doing great at it. My concern was that I didn't have the overhead to stream, but apparently you guys can hear me. Hopefully I'm not cutting in and out too much. So yeah, hooray. Rain, you got the DSA Ranger sword. It's great but heavy. Cerberus Arms did a review on a DSA Ranger sword. I want to say it was the same type of thing, and his remarks were very, very similar, that for the money, it was not his favorite. I think he was less kind about it. I supposedly, I don't know how to pronounce it, the Knockenbacher. When I see the Knockbacher, there's a messer from Dark Sword Armory that they have called the Knockenbacher or something like that. And it looks like it shares blades with a few different swords that they have, but they've attached it to a messer. I want to say it's like a 34-inch blade, and it looks pretty neat. But supposedly they're going to send me one sometime in August or some such time frame. And yeah, that's the subject of DSA. So I think I might get something again from them, which would be neat because I haven't seen their messer. But that's also a big, heavy sword. That's probably why it came to mind. And Tengu, I want to know what other swords you got. Oh, you listed them just now. Fantastic. Omega, hey man, I was able to be around for your stream this time. Well, fantastic. That's why I try to do it at random sporadic times. People hopefully can grab one. I never plan them. I just think, oh, I'm done editing and I don't have to go to bed just yet. So good deal. Glad you could join. Wiley Coyote, I'm glad that I don't sound terrible. Fantastic. And Tengu, you mentioned the Beiser, the $560 one. That was I think that's the 30 or 31 inch. I can't remember which one that is, but a little bit longer. The 30-inch Sino sword. That's right. Ryujin O Katana and the Dragon King Savior. I got a package from Cult of Athena recently, and I got their Mitsudo Katana. I saw that they put out a review, so shout out to Cult of Athena there. They have frog in my throat there. They have a YouTube review channel, and they did a Mitsudo Katana. Naturally, my ears tingled a little bit when they said Mitsudo. If you say that 3 times, I'm pretty sure I burst through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man. But they did a review on it, and I reached out and asked if they would send me a sample, and they agreed, and also sent me something from Depika. I had reached out to Depika, and they said, we don't have stuff. Reach out to Cult of Athena. And anyway, it all worked out. So I got a piece from Depika and a piece from Cult of Athena. And the reason that strikes a chord in my mind is because they remind me a lot of the Ryujin swords. They have the very similar fittings, as I recall, to the like a tab that fits in on the kashra instead of the typical shaped one. Rain, it's 5.5 pounds. That's a lot. That's a lot for what shouldn't be that big a sword. I don't know, you probably can't see it, but I have this monstrous thing from Ronin Katana called a Crom Killer, and there's a Danish longsword looking thing or greatsword, and it's I think over 5.5 pounds. But I don't know how I got on that subject because that's bigger. But anyway, yeah, much bigger swords are not as heavy. That's a nanner's weight. But I suppose it's going to be used potentially to chop down trees in the backyard. Generally speaking, though, I haven't found dark sword armory swords to be egregiously heavy. It's interesting you mentioned that, though, because the Alexandria that I got from them was, and I'm pulling measurements out of my head. They're written down in the reviews when I took them, but I want to say it was like 3 pounds 10 ounces, so a little above 3.5 pounds. And other people got them, and they were 4 pounds 2 ounces. I remember somebody else got a big old Alexandria, and it wasn't the only one that was kind of towards the 4 pound mark. But if you think about it, that's like a half pound swing, which is pretty substantial. And the Ranger is 1.5 pounds above that, which is already a pretty big sword. Jar of Moonshine, Stephanie, no, this is fizzy water and apple juice. I did have some beers earlier today. It's been cold in Minnesota, so I tend to favor stouts. I really like stouts, especially in cold weather. My wife makes fun of me because I'm a very seasonal drinker. Like when winter hits, I prefer chai in the mornings, and I drink stouts quite a bit more. And I'm trying to cut back on beer, so I have more or less just on the weekends, and I try to have very rich and flavorful stouts. So this is carbonated water and apple juice, because I already had beer. Somebody turned me on to a combination of Rubeus. It's a Founder's beer. Their breakfast stout and the Rubeus, I think. So I went to the beer store, and he's like, if you mix them together, it's a raspberry ale and a oatmeal chocolate stout, and you mix them together, and it's this fun chocolatey thing. It's not terribly like hard. It's not a kick in the teeth like some of the stouts. But anyway, I really like stouts. This is about swords, though. But I used to make stouts. I had a stout I made every year, and it was really tasty. But having unlimited delicious beer is not great if you're trying to go down to an A cup. So I digress. But no moonshine today. The Beiser sword is 30 and a half or 31 and a half. Not sure. Well, anyway, you like it, though, and that's good. I hope it is as resilient as the one that they sent. What do you think of did they put silk on that, Tengu? Was it the same type of material that I had? Because it felt like a leather jacket, which was interesting, to say the least. And I forgot who asked me. Last time I did a live stream, somebody was in, and I don't remember who asked the question, but they asked me about the Topeka thing, and there we go. I can't see my actual stream, but it's that one over there. Yeah, so I'm glad that the question got asked. It was one of those rare times where I was able to reach out for a sample and get one. It was pretty cool, and I wouldn't have thought to ask. So I'm glad I did. I'm looking forward to playing with it. My initial impressions are pretty nice too. So anyway, I don't know how I got on that track, but I ramble. That's what this is about. Any advice for someone planning on starting to do sword reviews? Tacklebox. Yeah, I made a video that was kind of about that. I totally encourage people to make their own sword reviews. Have fun. I think, have fun is one of the important factors. Try to do something that you enjoy. Usually, I mean, I don't fancy myself an expert, and I sit in front of a camera and blab. It's a weird thing to do, but it's rewarding, especially there's lots of fun experiences that can happen as a result. I've been very blessed. Video editing software, microphones, a lot of that stuff happens over time. But if you make one, then shoot it, send me a message with it. I'll if you are asking for advice about that stuff, I'm happy to provide you what I can. Some people have used the videos that I do as a template or starting off point, but it's not a recipe that you have to follow. If there's a particular facet that you think is interesting about the thing you want to review, that interest sometimes is contagious and the most fun stuff to watch. So that would be it. Don't record while you're in a shit mood, because it's hard to do. It's obnoxious and people don't usually like it. So, I say that because like my little one, him and we're butting heads a little bit. He's in this phase where he just screams and it crawls under my skin. And so like if I try to record, I pretty much have to throw all this stuff away because I'm just I'm not a pleasant person. Anyway, hopefully that helps. If like I said though, if you're interested and you're asking for feedback, I won't come into your video and be like, hey, I do this and that and this and that, unless you're soliciting feedback. But if you are, happy to give it. Just have to ask. Tengu, should I send you sake? And I don't know, I'm having a frog in my throat today. Not a great day to stream if I'm can't get words out. And Sochu for my Shochu. I don't know what that is. I know what sake is, but I don't know what the other one is. Happy to drink. I'm not a picky drinker. There's what don't I drink? I try to stay away from amaretto now. I remember once they only had a bottle of that, and I drank too much of it, and it made me sick for a while. But since then, I haven't had the taste for amaretto. But apart from that, I think I drink just about anything. Omega, fun question. Do your classes help with keeping healthy and in decent shape? I wanted to look into the health benefits of it and really love swords and whatnot. I would say no. It depends. So I study 2 types of swordsmanship, 3, but I'm certainly less active in Eskrima than I was. And the Eskrima classes I used to take with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and those were full body workouts, and absolutely. And they were very long classes. I would get there at like 6 o'clock at night and sometimes leave at midnight. And there was a lot of practical application stuff and like full body workout stuff. I would say that the Toyama Ryu class that I take, not that it can't work you out or that you don't, maybe sweat a little bit, but I wouldn't describe it as enough to keep you fit. Katori, Shinto Ryu, you can move a little bit faster if you have a partner that can do it and you're comfortable doing so. And I've certainly built a workup, particularly at seminars, in doing that, because it's a paired kata that can move fast. And yeah, and so I tend to sweat more doing Katori, but I still wouldn't say that it compares with the Eskrima or Jiu-Jitsu workout stuff. Those were far and away, far and away more of a workout in terms of like whole body, not needing to do much other exercise and staying fit kind of stuff. I don't know if those, I also don't want to like throw shade or presume that I understand what every sword class is like. It's entirely possible other people do it differently, and that there may be a bigger workout in your class. Just the ones that I have, less so. Beer goes well with swords, especially good beer. It certainly does, Stephanie. That is truthiness, though ideally not before in too big a quantity. Tango, you've been talking to Rava Katana to pick up. I pick it up tomorrow. Practitioner got to train with it. I was impressed. That's good. That's good. I'm also glad to hear that they're going to be potentially selling them. So that sounds pretty cool to have a local distributor. I think that goes a long way with U.S. folks too. Buying what's in stock is popular. Carl, not into them heavy beers. Rolling Rock lately. I do enjoy some lighter beers, but it's fewer and further between, I would say. I like haze as well. So there's a brewery near me called Black Stack, and they make a beer called the 755, and it's a very floral, hazy, delicious, fruity concoction that's quite wonderful. And I really like it, but I used to drink, when I made beer, I could make a Kolsch well before I got refrigeration, and then I could start making Pilsners. And I like the Pilsners that I make, but I've never had like a boutique-y fancy Pilsner. I don't know. It was really good after mowing the lawn, but I kind of got away from making it after, unfortunately, right around the time I got pretty good at it. Shochu is traditional Japanese spirits. Okay. I don't know why that I can't recall having any. I've had sake a few times, but not probably saying it wrong too. But I haven't had Japanese. I've had Japanese whiskey before, and it's been pretty tasty, but not any traditional spirits. Hey, Samurai Bird. Oh my God, I'm almost caught up with chat. RV. Tengu, do I pronounce it Rava, or RVA Katana? Currently selling them, drop shipping. He also handles custom orders. A couple different. Well, that's good. I'm glad that Beiser is finding a spot. I thought it was, it's interesting. I remember getting that sword and saying, it's not a bad sword, but it's a little bit more expensive, and so that price hopefully just is justified with the the punishment it'll take. And it sounds like, well, as I recall from the one that I did, it was more durable. So I'm glad that they're finding success and finding somebody to sell their stuff in the U.S. Because I know that's a barrier right now with, like, if somebody like me says, hey, this is good, and then you go to a website and there's not a spot to buy it, or it gives you the heebie-jeebies, that'll throw enough people off. But if they can just go get a sword and buy it in the U.S., then hopefully that'll work out. If RBA has them in stock or something, I should get a link so I can put that on the review so that people know where to get them. When is the next drunk review? That's a fair question. I've been I've been thinking about it for a hot minute, but I haven't gotten into it. I'll tell you, it's funny that, like, now more people request the drunk reviews. I think I've told this story before, but I started doing YouTube and I thought, like, funny would, I could do this funny, goofy video thing, right? So I emphasized, like, hopefully there's some information, and hopefully you can take away. The first video that I did was a destruction test that the sword is durable, and you could ascertain that from the, even hodgepodgey things that I did with it. And then I did some drunk reviews, and I thought they were funny. I had a good time doing them, and I got told to stop it quite a bit. People like, hey, your potty mouth and lewd humor are not funny, and I'm having trouble getting the information about the sword out. So could you stop with the antics and just talk like a human being? So I did that for a while, and it's funny, now I'm getting more requests to tip a few back and talk into a microphone some more. It's on the list of things to do. I just haven't found one that's, yeah. I've been doing mostly samples that I've got from vendors, and I feel a little bit weird about doing a drunk review on a sample that I get from a vendor. It's fine if I get a follow-up one, or I do a sober and a drunk one, but I feel kind of bad because it'd be, if they wanted to say, hey, look at this thing that that somebody made, and it's just a drunk guy cursing into a microphone, it wouldn't be as as easy for them to share, I suppose. It's on the list. What Fallen Student? What sword would you think would be fun for me to do a drunken review on? What's a good one for me to tip a few back and actually do it? Tango, I know you like them long blades. It shows from the list that you got up above. Do you find any that are not grotesquely dumb feeling from a lot of the Okatana that I recall having, which granted hasn't been all that many. The majority in that size tend to be overbuilt. I think the Winter Sun was one of the rare exceptions that had a pretty long blade that didn't kind of feel clunky. And it was thinner, it wasn't made to be. But like the Cold Steel 32-inch Okatana stands out as not fun to move. The Cold Steel Seagal. I think they stopped making those. I don't know that they do them anymore. Kingfisher, you had somebody's over for drinks whose name was Jennifer, and you had a good laugh. Yeah, the Jennifer comes from a bit of an inside joke with me and my wife, where anytime she tells me that why don't you marry her? That her is a fictitious Jennifer, and we go back and forth. So yeah, it sticks in my mind, which is funny because my cousin's name is Jennifer, and I know quite a number of Jennifers that are wonderful people. But for some, anyway, that's why it was easy to prattle off. Get drunk and use an axe. Well, maybe I'm trying to think of an axe that I have that I could make use of a review on, other than just like a hatchet from Home Depot or something like that. I could get so drunk I think it's a sword. Review a Minecraft iron sword. That's what I could do too. Just the drunk review format. Doesn't have to be a sword. It'd be funny if I switched my my channel over from swords to like Hello Kitty memorabilia or something like that. The My Little Pony katana seeped into my brain, and all of a sudden it was My Little Pony collectibles or something like that. Skydro is the best 30-inch blade you've tested. The Winter Sun was good. Ryan Sword, Okatana, also good. That's good. I'm glad that there's a few other options out there. I don't remember. I do recall having a longer Skydro one that was 30 inches. It was a weird one, though, and didn't have a particular model on it. But I do remember that one felt pretty good, too. Marvin, HSTS katana is the sharpest katana I've ever seen. Yeah, I remember they got a lot of praises sung about their swords being pretty sharp. And as I recall, the owner did some profiling on the edge a little bit just to keen things up. And people seem to have swords from HSTS that they really enjoy. I didn't get a chance to play with many of them. I had a prototype, and I'm trying to think if I played with any other ones. But I know I had one or two of them, but I don't think that they were fair comparisons to what they really offered. They were like prototypes or used or something like that. There was some caveat to it, as I recall. So I don't know that I ever got a chance to take a look at their Budo or their basic line stuff, but people seem to really enjoy them, and I don't know how easy they are to get, though. Marvin, you love Claymore swords. Where can you find? Well, that's I suppose that's the fair question. So they used to have a website, and there would be swords up for sale there periodically, and they would go pretty quick. I don't know if they're keeping on, or if they've stopped. I'm not exactly sure. But it's been a few years since I've heard them. I know they had a bit of a falling out with SBG or some such thing, and last I recall hearing was some responses back and forth from them. But I honestly don't know. They come up for sale secondhand from time to time on eBay, Sword Buyer's Guide, and in the various Facebook forums, so you can keep an eye out there. I'm trying to think of what where else you would be able to find stuff, but I don't think they're an easy one to come by. Honestly, though, I guess I don't know what I'm missing, though. It wouldn't be fair for me to say that they're not worth it, or that there's other things just as good, because I haven't really played with anything. And some people that have had a lot of swords think very highly of those in particular. So Yeah, I don't know. Wish I could give you more info on that one. But on a completely different topic, and because I have it handy, I can share this one. Ooh, quick sword review. This is the Castilian, I think. I don't even remember the name, but I opened this box just the other day, and I think I have some video footage that I have to figure out for review where I opened it and kind of gave some initial impressions, but I can just bab about it here. This is, I think, the first piece from Eric St. Bottomall. This is the first piece from Topeka that I've had in either a really long time or maybe ever, and I don't know. I might have had some other Topeka stuff, but I'll admit that when I think of Topeka, that I thought they were much worse than this, and this is actually surprised me. Don't get me wrong; it's not a flawless sword, but little things. I like the little copper bit that's been stuck in the wheel pommel here. The pommel as well has taper to it, and there's some sharp ledges on here that I'll have to remark on. But this was like $200, so this is something that I've thought, like, well, what kind of sacrifices will you make for a sword that's $200? Like, what can you kind of deal with yourself? And a little bit of sandpaper on the edges when there's not a particularly lavish finish in the first place seems fine. There's some ledges on here around the pommel that I think do need to be addressed, but the leather on here is tight and good. There's a pronounced seam, but it's fine. I like the risers and it's handsome. For $200, it also came with the scabbard that isn't shitty. That's saying a lot. The camera, I don't think, is also picking up the color. As I see it, this looks very blue, or very kind of muted, like a dark. Maybe it almost looks green, like my shirt. But it's a little bolder blue in person, and it's got ledges and stuff. But I like the leather. It's a wood core, and the leather belt on here is actually not shitty. A lot of the $200 swords that I see in this price point, I know we were talking about HSTS, but are different. They have either no metal components, little pieces on the buckles, and these are riveted on. Or the leather is like imitation leather and really cheap. This feels like a decent leather belt. It's really, really tight. So that might be a downside. And Cult of Athena asked me if I wanted a sharpened sword, and I said I would actually just like them to sharpen one side of the sword so that I could show the blunt side in camera, and I could show the sharpening surface side if that's what they did. So they sharpened one side of the sword, and I didn't realize like how much metal has to be moved to really get a keen edge here, because it kind of looks a little bit wonky given this very thin profile, and then going all the way up to the edge, it almost looks, it looks it looks pretty funny with the one edge sharpened. But that was what I asked for. Anyway, it's actually a fine feeling sword. It's surprising. This particular variety, I don't think historically needed to have a whole lot of distal taper, because it has a ton of profile taper here. And yeah, it's pretty rigid. For $200, it doesn't seem, it seems very akin to windlass. And I thought that the Topeka stuff would be several steps down in terms of build quality, and it's not. It seems like a pretty solid value, and actually feels pretty good. And I like the scabbard quite a bit more, at least in terms of color, than I like the windlass ones. Albeit it is it's very, very tight. So anyway, this is a fun one that I've gotten to play with. I went to the dollar store earlier today and picked up some more targets. I was out of pool noodles, and they finally have some, so I'll be able to play with this and do some sorty blah blah reviewing stuff. Well, Alex, so I don't know a huge amount about the Topeka stuff. I think in the back of my mind, I remember seeing stuff on Cult of Athena, or I don't know. I don't really, it's a fair thing. I haven't ever reviewed anything from Topeka before. and somebody asked about it, so I requested a sample, and this is the one that was mentioned on the Cult of Athena website. It's a newer offering, and it looks really compelling. So I haven't looked at a ton. I think they offer a lot of different products. I haven't really taken a lot of time to look at every single one of them, but for some reason in my mind, it didn't. I didn't think. I was pleasantly surprised, I suppose, for $200. This seems like a pretty solid little product, and it needs some this and that's. But if you wanted a sword with a scabbard, I think about what an average person could fix, and this one seems to have a lot of little things where if you're okay with a few, needing a little bit of sandpaper here and there, that you're fine. Anyway, yeah, it's I think this one's the Castilian something. Anyway, it's on the Cult of Athena website, and it's under the new product offerings there. And then I suppose other sword show and tell. This was the other thing they sent. It's like I said, the Mitsudo Katana. I do like long word, small text. Katana. Longer blades. I'm not sure what that is, Tengu. I don't know. I know what Moso Shinrin-Ru is, but I'm not sure what the other one is. Yeah, so this is the Mitsudo Katana from Cult of Athena. This is their Iron Tiger Forge stuff that they have, and out of the box, this thing came zazzy sharp. And it's simple polish. I have to play with it. I don't know if I have any lighting that's actually going to show. There we go. You can kind of see it a little bit there. It's pleasant looking. It's got a nice shape. I have to look in the camera. An odd little thing. It's a mirror polish. Doesn't have a lot of etch on it, so the hamon doesn't stand out unless you see it in the right light. But one thing that I thought was a little goofy is this kashra reminds me of the one from Ryujin, and that the fuchi isn't like a cup. It's a like a hat or a plate with a tab sticking out of it that then goes down into the handle here, and it's tied on. So it doesn't fit on the same way. And if I look at this, I don't know if you'll see it in the camera, but like I can see light through the end of it. So it's a different way. I'm not sure how that's going to hold up when I get to abusing it. But since I haven't had anything from Iron Tiger Forge before, I know I said I wouldn't break all the swords, but I do plan on pushing this one to see how well it holds up. I've been asked a lot about Iron Tiger Forge, and this is the first time I've had anything from them. So again, it's Cult of Athena sent it my way, so I should thank them for it. But I'll get to do my nanners things with them and show you all how they hold up. Oh, setekara. Setekara? Okay. It's a Iaido, I'm guessing. That's what you mean? Kingfisher, same kashra as was on the Minotoshi Water Dragon. Definitely not as strong as a standard mounting, but I like the shape of it as well. It's pleasant looking anyway. I'm not sure how well it's going to hold up though. I've pulled numbers of kashra off. It's happened a few times, so I'm not thinking that part's going to hold up particularly well. Mr. Bird is the word. How are you doing? Bird, inquiring minds are looking. Hopefully, you're well. When are you going to be back on camera, making sword videos? You gotta get back on the horse. You gotta get some katanas. Gotta swing them around, whack them into stuff, and then share tell us about it. I'm trying to think of. I have some of that planned myself. I have a little bit of time this week to actually make some videos, and I'm a little bit ahead of where I have been. So I'm gonna play with the Pika piece, the piece from Cult of Athena, the Iron Tiger stuff, and then I have other things from who else? Romance of Men sent some swords, and I think I have some stuff I'm going to swing around from them. They actually might send me some armor as well, which would be neat. So if anyone has questions about armor of the samurai variety, let me know, and I will try to incorporate that if I end up getting a bit of armor from them, because it's not usually something that I do, but it would be nice to have something to protect all my delicate bits when I go and break swords in the backyard. Though I'd really like something that's easy to take on and off, and I don't know that samurai armor is really that. Shane, how's the family? Family is, I appreciate you asking. It's good. I'm employed, insured, and loved. Little one is a baby, and he is sleeping right now and screams a lot. He literally just screams at the top of his lungs if people around him are talking, not to him. If he's not the center of attention, scream at the top of his lungs. And it's not the like fun kind of scream. He used to do this thing where you just like look at you and go like, I like growl at you like a pirate. And I thought that was cute. Apparently that was not what he was going for. So now it's just a high pitched pterodactyl like scream. And, so his lungs are working great. He's gonna be a singer one day. Yeah. So being daddy duty's good. Other little ones good. The weather's been yucky out, and so that is not fun. I was hoping that with a little bit of time off that I have going on this week that I'd be able to go outside, but it's windy and yucky and snowy. So yeah, that's. But I'm well. I've got swords and stuff to do, so can't complain too much. Plus, I'm trying to gradually finish Pathfinder: Wrath of the Righteous. I play a little bit Apex Legends, play a little bit of Rocket League, but I've kind of been in the background playing Pathfinder: Wrath of the Righteous, and I like the game. And I was on, what was I can't even remember what the enemy's name was. It was like Playful Darkness or something like this. This weird Uber surprise boss that threw me for a loop with the few hours that I had today was that. But those are all good problems. I get to smash my face on computer games sometimes. Hopefully that answers your question, though. I'm doing well. How are you? Alex, hey, Matt. Have you thought about doing a video on camera nerdiness? How you use those skills to show off sword details? Sword friend Joe, Steel, Forged, and Fire, Sword and Knife, he does cinematography, and I know that he's talked about doing camera work stuff. I can nerd out about cameras if you have questions about them. It might bore a lot of people. I could watch the number. It looks like there's 26 people in here now. I'll watch that drop down to 2 if I blabber on about cameras. But I was recording earlier today. I play with lots of cameras. If there's a particular question about recording stuff, then I can certainly try to talk about it. But I'll tell you that I'm even more a novice with cameras than I am with swords. And I enjoy the hobby. So I have equipment. If you're looking to film swords, then lights are important, and they are mirrors. So they're a little bit of a challenge, Ideally, if you can get something for them to reflect against that's dark so that the details can pop out, and also to have like the equipment that can show you stuff that you're looking at. So like this, for example, you might notice, Alex, in some of the videos that I have two cameras if I do a review and I record. So in one, I'm using the camera that I right now to record my dumb face here, that I would typically use with the same lens. But I have another camera to kind of show the thing that I'm holding. So as I'm pointing at it, you have a closer image to what that is. Two cameras helps, but that's challenging. And then lenses are also fun. So if I break a sword, I try to do, I have a macro lens so I can show the grain structure. So if otherwise the lens doesn't come out, I can't get close enough to photograph it. Yeah, lots of camera stuff. And I'm still working on it. I have to edit a lot of the videos. I always set the angle too far back, and I get two of me looking like an ant in the background, and I'm figuring it out. But anyway, yes, I blabbed on already, maybe quite a bit. If you have a particular question about sword photography or how to do it, I can at least share the way that I do it for what that's worth. Yeah, Shane, he would he would make this noise. My son used to, if it was usually if I was talking to my wife and me and her going back and forth, and he senses that like nobody's talking to me, so he would look at both of us and just go "Aye!" and like do this like ki chop or like this pirate growl, like "Yarr!" And it always made me laugh. It would be really loud and kind of burly for a baby, like a mouse that was ready to throw down. But now, no, just high pitched scream. And at first you're like, "Ooh," but it's just there's no ignoring it. It's so loud. He does it when I'm on conference calls at work, and it's, we're like, dude, just please stop screaming at the top of your lungs. But as a parent, you're glad that they can scream. That means they're alive. So sipping on some scotch, Shane. I'm glad. Cheers. Ryan, good evening. Any experience with Ronin, Hammer Forged, SPG Forged Direct, Muramasa, laminated 5 steel katana? No. Well, the Hammer Forged, yes. So one of the, there's this clip of me breaking a sword with like a chunk of it flying right past my face, and then me reacting what seems like an hour and a half later to like, oh, I almost died. That was a Ronin Hammer Forged sword. So I have had one, and I broke it, and it was not happy that I did that. But I did play with the Ronin Hammer Forged thing, the sword, a number of years ago. If I think about that experience now, I recall that it's a differentially hardened blade, and it did what differentially hardened blades do, and that the edge would chip if I pushed it to failure, and the spine would bend, and if I slammed it against a braced metal surface, it would break. I thought they were pretty things, but at the same time, certainly not as durable as like the Dojo Pro line or something like that. And I think you're either the novelty of it being hammer forged or kind of made out by hand rather than stock removal, or if there's a pattern or something like that you like on them, then that seems to be why you would buy it, right? Not because it's more durable or something like that. I haven't, however, had the Muramasa laminated piece. So as I understand it, it's a through hardened blade that's laminated, and I haven't tested a sword with that type of metal. Typically, if I get a laminated sword, I've gotten from Jakku and Ryan Sword, and they've been folded, and the lamination has been an aesthetic thing that is harder to do, but hasn't really materialized into anything from a performance standpoint. They weren't more durable because of it. They tended to break you know, it took about the same amount of licks to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop, for lack of a better analogy. But the Murimasa, I always thought was kind of neat because through hardened blades tend to favor the types of tests that I do more. The edges kind of go away, but the blades are resilient and maintain some level of effectiveness as a weapon throughout the abusive test. And theoretically, having different types of metal with different properties, but in a through hardened blade could result in some interesting stuff. So I've wanted to test one for a long time, but I've never got my hands on one. So I did think they were really cool, though, that it was a through hardened blade that was laminated, and that it was just, you know, the grinding is what revealed the, you know, the different steels and what looked like a hamon but wasn't. So I thought that was pretty cool. I would like to play with one, but I came close to getting one secondhand once, but we just couldn't quite agree on a price. Christian, what is your most favorite sword? I'm interested in knowing because I'm interested in buying my first sword. I did a whole video on it, Christian, about my favorite swords. The short answer is I have 2 Motohara blades. They're, you know, everything that I like is about $2,000. 2 Motohara blades that I use depending on class. Those are my favorite training tools. And if I'm, you know, picking what I'm bringing to class and I don't have a blade to test, which is very rarely the case at this point, that I don't have some sword to bring that I'm trying to get exposure myself to. But I'll bring one of the Motohara pieces, and then my favorite, just for reasons, is I have a bamboo mat that has been customized with lots of swirly Mitsudomes on it, and I really enjoy that sword. So yes, I like the bamboo mat. Mine's been customized pretty heavily and has enhanced my like of it. But it's also, I liked it before that. Do know, though, that the bamboo mat that I have isn't one that you're able to necessarily get. The one that I have is quite a bit heavier than the one that they offer now, though most people, I think, would like the offering that they have now. Anyway, I like that sword. Most people don't, though. So I should preface that a lot of people have seen the sword that I really, really like and kind of expected it to be like, you know, the heavens to part. It'd be like, oh, you love this the most, and you've had all this nonsense, and so it must be the best. And then it's kind of like a, you know, just a wet fart. Instead, it doesn't. I like it, and it's a balance that I enjoy, and I can give dynamics and stuff on it, but I don't want to suggest that you would enjoy it as much as I do. I think for most people it would be a little bit tip heavy, but it's the right, I don't know, the right kind of oddness that it feels good to me, and I enjoy it. Joe, Steel Fortune Fire, hello, sir. Weaponized, you're here too. Zed is around. Got to catch you for Apex. Got a couple fittings and Ito on the way for wraps and mounts. I got fittings from Sophie Coke on eBay. Ever heard of them? No, yes, I have heard of them. I've never purchased anything. Some time ago, supposedly they're making a sword for me. So Sophie Coke actually makes swords, and I don't think he paints. I don't know if it's a he. They don't paint the swords, I think, but they sent some photos of some katana that look really, really cool, and supposedly they are making one that I can review along with some fittings. I initially reached out to them because I was looking for fittings for a different project, and like always, I say like, hey, I babble about swords on the internet. Can I review something? And they said, anyway, got to be making a sword. So I have seen that. The fittings look pretty cool, honestly. They look like recast fittings from a lot of Japanese stuff, but they're not stuff that I've seen everywhere else. And so I thought they were pretty cool. Let me know what you think of them, because I'm also keen on buying some other stuff from them. But yes, that he or she, I don't know, also makes swords, and they look pretty good. They actually looked really nice. And I think he said they're around $800 or $1,000 ballpark for a katana, but the scabbards aren't painted, so you might have to find somebody to. Anyway, nothing's materialized from that just yet, but if it ever does, then you'll see it on the old channel here. Steel air. I need to see if I can split an air gun round on my katana. Chances are yes, though I don't know by shooting it. Hopefully yes. I would imagine that it would. It might take some damage if you hit it off to the side, but I'd imagine that it would probably split the pellet that you would shoot at it. You're planning on picking one up from SBG when they become available, Ryan? I think you mean the you're talking about the Murimasa. Yeah, let me know what you think. I thought that was a really cool idea. When it's been a few years since they released that Murimasa thing, but I remember when they talked about a laminated blade that was through hardened, and that was like, I was like, oh, that's the combination nobody else seems to do. People do laminated blades, but they're always differentially hardened or folded, but just different types of monosteel laminated together and then through hardened. That's one of those, combos that people don't generally do. So I thought it was cool and innovative and neat for a sword, and let me know what you think when you get it. Mike, I've only recently seen your videos. Thanks for all the info. I'm an EI Batojutsu student, so it's been very helpful. I'm glad, sir. I'm glad that you find the content helpful. I think I would make very different sword choices if I know what I know now when I started practicing EI. Sounds good. Any idea where I can find their swords? I had to ask Sophie Koch about them. I think that he mentioned a website or something. I don't recall, but he sent photos of the swords themselves. And if I were, nope, I can't share my screen because I'm doing this YouTubey thing. But yes, he sent pictures of swords. The thing is, I haven't gotten anything yet, so I do want to, big cautionary flag here that, like, I saw some pictures that were sent to me from Sophie Koch on eBay, and he said that he made the swords. Actually, he said they made the swords, and I took that at face value, but I haven't actually had anything in hand or anything like that. So I don't exactly know yet. Sending a photo is pretty easy. I have no reason to doubt, though, and the fittings look pretty decent. So if you're curious about the swords, then I would ping him on eBay. Shane, anyone know about buying habaki? I want to buy a better fitting habaki for one of my katana. When the sword came to me, it was just awful, and I don't want to cut with it. A lot of times they don't fit. So sometimes the habaki are kind of like pre-made in one size. So you might be able to get one if you have another sword. Then you can kind of see if one of the other habaki fit. Sometimes there's some fiddling done with them to get them to fit right, so you can't fix it. I've had some extra habaki around, but it's pretty rare that one slides on the same way to the other. I don't fiddle with them that much, though. I remember I had like a fancy silver habaki that I wanted to use, and none of the other swords that I wanted to put it on would it fit. So treating myself to a sword this month as a birthday gift. Debating between a 1060 Ronin or a T10 Tiger Forge. I haven't played with the Tiger Forge yet, but I do know that the Dojo Pros from Ronin are very durable, and the most recent one that I have, the Ito on either one, is something that I could complain about. But the Ronin Ito, the knot has just started to come undone at the end. It started to fray a little bit, and I've only been doing EI for like 2 weeks with it. So the Ito is on the looser side. The kasha is glued on, and I don't think it's going to come undone. And I've debated for the video now that I've used it for a couple weeks, and I'm starting to see something that's concerning. Like if you caught that, I'm thinking I'm going to stitch it together, but film that as a note. I don't do that generally, but I figure it seems like a reasonable thing to do if you spotted that it was coming loose and you could catch it before it became a problem, that you would probably take steps to fix it. So I might do that. For backyard shenanigans, I like the Ronins for backyard shenanigans. The T10 Tiger Forge. If you mean Iron Tiger Forge, the one that I have has a very nice Amon, and it looks nice and it's quite sharp. But I haven't played with it very much just yet. So, but they're different things. So it depends on what you're going for. What time is it? 3:30 UK time. I'm at 9:30 Central Time. Do you think Citadel will do another run of Katana? I know they're still making them. Just Cast Iberia is the distributor in the US, so they don't like their random one-off ones. You know, if you go to their shop in Cambodia, I think you can pick them up, but they don't sell them in the US. They do Cast Iberia. Yoto Dragon King makes a Tonto that is laminated and through hardened. Neat. I didn't know that they did. Which one? Matt, in your old age, you need to start building a forge and cook up some katana. No. No, I've Joe, I appreciate that, but blabbing about things on the internet, figuring out cameras, recording, and software, that's a little bit more my speed. I'm not good at making stuff. I can muddle my way through some home remodeling. I can use a paintbrush and do some basic stuff, but all the nitpicky features that I bitch about on a sword, I wouldn't be able to do myself. No, I couldn't. It would come out poorly. So I don't. Yeah, I think it was just a different avenue to go down. It wouldn't surprise me if I had the opportunity before I did YouTube-y stuff. If I could do making things, I might have done that. But now, the idea of collecting, doing what I do now, playing with things, and making content and making things, just not. I couldn't do it all. I got too many hobbies, so I'd have to take a step back if I were to do that. And I've been really unhappy with all of the swords that I've tried to do. I'll give you an example. My new decorated wall of knives. So this is the Quinn Waterfield Ganuntang that he sent to me some time ago to review. And it used to be quite a bit longer, and it was broken and about yay. And so I took this and tried to grind and clean it up. Now, I don't have very robust tools, but if you think about some of the samurai swords that have been made, you know, they're using tools that are akin to the $10 bin at Home Depot, and they made some of the most beautiful, famous works of art in history, right? And I have power tools and a 1x30, you know, new belts and all that kind of stuff. And this is as clean as I could get it. There's like the grind lines are uneven. I screwed it up. I overheated the tip. It's really. Let's see if I can get it in the light here. It's really pretty bad. Dinged it up over here. I got an edge on it. I got the point roughly in the line that I wanted it to be. But yeah, that's my grinding, Joe. I can't. It wouldn't go well. It wouldn't go very well for me. Also, what's that? Also, sorry for the plug, but if anyone is attending SakuraCon at our Cebu Ryu, I don't know where that is. Ryan, thank you for the super chat. I should notice those things sooner. Really appreciate all your content and insight. Have a beer or two on me. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. I will. I will take your $10 and I will spend it on beer next Friday. And then I will drink it and rejoice. Yes, if Alex, you're 100% right. If Swords by Jensen came out, it would definitely be called Jensana Blade, which incidentally, because I liked swords ever since I was a wee little child, that was what one of my friends used to call me, like when I was in grade school, in like fourth grade, something. That would definitely have to be the name, and everything would have swirly Mitsudomes all the time. And if you didn't like it, then fuck you. That would be my answer. Everyone, always swirly Mitsudomes. That's the only thing you can have. And if you didn't want any, then you would have more. That would be the answer. It's God, I can't remember. It's an old joke, and it was very similar to my mother-in-law, where if you didn't want to eat, then, or if you wanted a little bit of food, say you didn't want any. If you were really hungry, say you wanted a little. But if you actually didn't want any, I'm messing up the punchline here. If you really wanted a lot of food, say you wanted a little and you get a lot. If you want a little food, say you didn't want any and you get a little bit of food. And if you really didn't want any, then you'd have to kill her. Otherwise, like no matter what, you're getting food. It would be that, but with Mitsudomes. That's how it would have to work. That was a very long-winded and contorted way, but I think you get what I'm throwing down. TSM, I would like you to see the Perna Denal sword. I saw another reviewer has one. I always follow his posts. He doesn't have many swords, but they look nice. I've seen a few folks. Alien Tude, he's had one. Kane Shen, he just posted something about a knife that was, I believe, made by him as well. There's a few folks that have talked about his works, and it seems like he's a pretty capable guy that makes things on a budget if you're looking for custom variety pieces. I just haven't checked one out. I'd be happy to, though. I can contact him, but yeah, haven't tried. But yes, there's good info out. He seems like if you have a fantasy-esque style sword that you're interested in getting on a budget, that he can make you a functional version, and that the trade-offs aren't bad for the price that he's being asked. Where should I buy a cheap katana for wife? Anniversary gift. Well, I suppose you'll know your wife's tastes better than anyone. If your wife doesn't mind secondhand things, then your money will go a little bit further. And I'd encourage you to check out Facebook, SBG, eBay, the places where you can buy used swords. If that is a bother, because sometimes it is, and might be you don't want an anniversary gift, call the Athena. They have a few variety there. The cheapest one is $60. I think that was the Mutra one that I played with some time ago. I don't know that I would recommend it, but that was the least expensive functional one. Chris Fields, 4 YouTube ads. I'm sorry. If it makes you feel better, Chris, though, I did only tell YouTube to run everyone else's ads, but just for you. So since you watched 4, that's why we got 20 people in here, because you watched all the ads for us. I don't know why they're doing that. Kingfisher, I put a Ronin Dojo Pro 1045 through all sorts of hell, and though the handle came apart, the blade itself is really well tempered. I found the same thing. They take a lick and keep on ticking. Pakai Tonto. Yoto, thanks. I'm going to take a look at that after the stream. I didn't know that other companies were doing the same thing, but that's pretty cool. Eric, just wanted to thank you for all you do. You, sir, are awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. I learned a lot. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that you did. I try to include stuff, but I'm learning every day too. So you must fill your head with knowledge before you break bricks with it. Sterling Armory, Anathar has arrived. Chris, are you playing on both your accounts at once here? So the saga of Anathar can continue. I don't know exactly what's going to happen because I didn't get a chance to make follow-up videos with both Anna and Thar, but Chris now has the power, and it's in his hands. If I'm ever down in Florida, you can show me how to make blades. I'm sure you can, but Chris, that would be a wasted opportunity. We would definitely need to be drinking the whole time and not making swords. That no. I'm sure I could, but I don't. It's a craft I have a lot of respect for, and I just don't think I'd be able to put the time in to get out of it the swords that I would hope that I could. And it's not that I'd be afraid of showing you my work and being like, look at all the shittiness. I would probably be the most critical of my own work, but yeah, I don't know. I'm very lucky to be able to play with other people's cool work. Tengu, Chris Osborne may start offering polishing classes. You should take one. Nope. No. Polishing is even less interesting. It's hard and slow and easy to fuck up, and and at the end you get a shiny piece of steel at the end. Not that it isn't really valuable or that I don't appreciate it, but like that polishing is even less interesting than like, at least at the end you took a lump of metal and turned it into a sword-shaped object versus you had a sword-shaped object and now it's shinier, while simultaneously very easily being able to fuck it all up. That seems like not something I want to do. I wish I could do it all, but I don't think so. I mean, ancient swordsmiths used teams of people, and it was their primary occupation and didn't have to pack into their hobby time. Yeah, of course. I think the thing for me is that, like, making stuff, doing computer stuff, doing video stuff, I enjoy photography. I did enjoy beer making when I did it, but I don't enjoy home remodeling. And I've made knife handles and I've grinded on to remake the tip, and I don't really like doing it. The craft itself is not fun for me. Being done with it and having a functional object at the end would be nice, or being able to create some sort of really cool work of art would be nice, but I don't really enjoy doing it. So that's I suppose the other part. Yeah, like the pain of getting all the little facets and angles right. I don't really like that. And I don't really like home remodeling either. I can do it, but I'd rather like it just be done. So that's really expensive, and I have the ability to do it at a satisfactory level. Swords, yeah, no, not quite the same thing. I don't have the ability to do it at a satisfactory level. And it's harder. All right. Customer service for Jensen made swords would be all kinds of lol. I don't know what. Well, that would, Shane, you make an interesting point. What would customer service be like? So somebody breaks a sword and then says, well, I whacked it on a tree, and I'll be like, well, you shouldn't do that with swords. And they'll be like, well, you do. They're like, that is, yeah. And you put that in the reason bin for why I can't make swords. The return policy would be tough. All right, trying to catch up with chat. Sorry if I'm missing people. It's jumping around here on me a little bit. Tengu, drinking and smithing is a time-honored tradition till the smelter almost falls on you. That would be bad. I got to go to a bloomery forge once. There was an event taking place, and Asano, Toro Asano, Total Asano, I think. He was doing a tour and came to the University of Minnesota. And before that, there was a Bloomery that was being made. And it wasn't big, but it was tall and very, very hot. And they were trying to make a bit of Tamahagane before he got there. And I think it turned out okay. But it was very hot and very tall. And I got to see just kind of the tail end of it before he came over and gave a lecture on swords. And I can imagine that falling on you would be terrifying. On the Ronin note, do you want something that can take a beating and hold up? Hold an edge as well and keep intact. Retrying worth a try. My brother gifted me a Hanwei, so far the scabbard is cracked. One, I must have lost what you were talking about earlier. If you want something that can take a beating and keep going, then if I was contrasting, I think you said Ronin versus a T10. The Ronins tend to be very, very durable 1060 steel. So they kind of, for anyone that's looking to smash things in the backyard, the example that I have right now of a Dojo Pro, I haven't really cut much of anything other than tatami with it and some bottles. It's held up really well for that. It was very sharp, but the Ito is a little on the looser side. If you can spray the handle with a dab of lacquer before you go out and whack stuff with it to make sure it stays tight, then I would say it's pretty likely to last you for a good long while, in contrast to a differentially hardened T10 blade. Matt, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but we got to set up a meet and greet Sword Guy freaking Palooza one day. Think about drinking and adventures. That is true, but we are half a continent away. Yes, Joe, if you are ever in my neck of the woods, then absolutely come and have beers. But the likelihood that I will be in yours in the next 5 years is probably quite small. I daddy duty and stuff will keep me pretty much parked. I'm not sure about travel either. We're itching before COVID was taken off. Granted, it's been a couple of years now, but we were on our way to Switzerland. My whole family, we were going to Switzerland and going to go hang out and gallivant around there. And we were on a good clip of taking traveling twice a year. And now there's a baby instead, and he screams, and I don't want to be that guy on an airplane. And he screams really loud whenever anything happens. So I'm not sure I want to subject the rest of the world to it. So the likelihood that I will do it, and he does the same thing in the car. So if it's more than 10 minutes away, it's past my threshold, my guy. But if you're in my area, come on over. All right. Steel Air, you want a Paul Chen? Which one? Calling you Jennifer all the time. That's all right. Any opinions on Handmade Sword? Dave, I've requested a review sample from them a few times. I've held their stuff, and so far it hasn't been anything particularly interesting or remarkable or bad. It kind of rides right in the middle of the brands that I've seen. They've had some unique looking pieces that I've seen. There was like a bamboo scabbard that looked kind of cool that I don't see everywhere else, or like it looked like bamboo planks stuck together. I don't see that on many other pieces other than Handmade Sword, but I think there's others out there. A lot of the stuff looks like it's similar parts bins. Some of it looks somewhat bespoke to Handmade Sword. And the examples that I've seen in person have been on the like really inexpensive beginner sword stuff, so it's not really fair to judge. But what I can say is that they seem very middle of the road. I didn't look at them and find that the fit and finish was exemplary or that anything stood out as really good. And when I say that, like if I look at a Skydro piece, for example, The transitions tend to be a little bit more in line. The Ito tends to be a little bit tighter, and there's some other elements like the fittings. I don't recognize them, and they're usually unique to Skydro. So there's some elements of the brand that kind of stick out, even if it's my first experience with them. And I didn't have anything like that with a couple examples that I've seen from Handmade Sword. But I also didn't see anything that like stood out as a huge problem, and so nothing was so grotesque that I was like, this is bad, return it. Nothing like that either. And I have totally seen that. If you've seen me do an unboxing where I take something out and initially poke the Ito around or look at the transitions or see if things are loose, that can totally happen. People will hand me their new sword and be like, what do you think of this? And sometimes it's, I say bad news. And other times it's middle of the road. And that's where Handmade Sword was for me. Chris, see the new Angus Trim Valiant Armor collabs? Yes, I have. Not in person, but I've seen other people talk about them, and they seem. It seems like you got Angus Trim dynamics and some Valiant Armory fit and finish, and so yes, I've seen them. They look very handsome, and I want one, but I'm probably not going to get one. But I think they do look really nice. Though I'm not sure any of them are exactly in the style I would pick up. I'm not sure which European sword I would really go for next. I thought about it like a Regent or a Viceroy or one of the Albions with a little bit more kind of zazz to them, just because there was a little bit more uniqueness to the shape, but I'm not sure about that one either. Is it worth purchasing ancient or antique Nihonto? Ancient, I can't remember what the technical classification is for ancient, but antique, yes. I mean, generally speaking, you wouldn't necessarily buy that to use, though you could get a Gunto, and I don't know that they're technically antiques yet, but you could get a Gunto, and that's a Japanese military sword, and then use it. Some people totally do that in class. They use Gunto for Tamashigiri, for Iaido, and the like. Some people do use antiques for Iaido and practicing, but most people don't use them for like cutting very much, at least if you're using like an actual very old blade. But they're beautiful and fun to look at and fun to experiment with and hold and feel how the sword actually, an example of a historic piece and how it moves. So yes, I think they're absolutely worth buying, but it just depends on what you want. If it's doing dumb shit in your backyard, no, I wouldn't recommend an antique. If it's for admiring or maybe occasionally Ido, then maybe. Or absolutely. Yes, I would do that. All right. It's getting towards the late hours for me, so I'm gonna wrap things up here with the rest of the chat here. I'm gonna try and get through it, and then I'm gonna stop. So Leon, I see you're the last one. I'll get to your question when I get through it, and then I'll stop after that. Hanwei Raptor, Steel Air, that's what you're after. Those are good swords. I like the Hanwei Raptors. Handles are a little bit big, but they tend to be really durable. I haven't gotten a chance to push one to failure, but I would expect them to be pretty durable pieces. Other people have, done plenty of dumb shit with them though, and they've held up really well. Shane, every time I get in one of these chats, we talk about swords, and I end up on Cult of shopping from there. Yep, that's par for the course. John Walter 88 used to make videos putting the Raptor through feats of bamboo. He said they were really good. Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. I remember he cut with a bunch of stuff, and some of those swords I remember I think tested a Munetoshi performance cutter too, and that's a pretty dainty little sword. John's a very good cutter. All right. Ooh, Type 14. I will take a look. I didn't see the Type 14. I saw there were two varieties, and I can't remember what typology they were, Chris. But I did see that they had some, but I didn't see that either of them were Type 14. I do like the Type 14 though. Didn't really like the. Okay, Leon, Matt, need your help. What did you think of the Hanwei Tori Iaido? Didn't like it. It had Tori fittings on it, but sorry, the Tori Iaido, the doe skin tends to wear out and get floppy over time. If it was really, really tight, the Hanwei Ito doesn't tend to be the tightest in general. Not that it's terrible and bad, but it seldom is really tight and good. And the Iaito, if you're going to use it for drawing practice and stuff, that's going to get worn out quite a bit. The doe skin tends to absorb and get pretty mucky pretty quickly. And I found that it, just kind of turned to shit quicker than I would like. Beyond that, the Iaito that Hanwei has are like this. I don't know. They're just beneath the other Iaito that I've seen in the Tori fittings. As nice as they were the main redeeming feature of the sword. But I didn't also like how they drew. The saya was raspy. I've seen 2 of them in person and played with them, and in each case, they were just beneath the quality of a $300 Iaito from Japan. And so as I think of like the cheap Iaito that I've used from Japan, like the Minnesota, I'm probably saying it wrong, but like the $300 package from Tazando from beginner students, that was a better experience for Iaito, even though it didn't have the same flash or the same features. But I like the way that those function and work better than. Well, so far I haven't had a Chinese-made Iaito that I've liked as much. So there's opportunity there. But the Ito tends to wear out quicker, and the Tori, that was the other component of it, is that if you're specifically getting a blade for EI, you're going to be using it all the time, and that doe skin that they put on it, it feels supple and nice, and it looks really cool, but it doesn't. I don't think the stuff that I've seen that they used has held up particularly well. And it's not that doe skin can't, because I've also seen some doe skin that's gotten like really, really tight and held up very well over a number of years. But the Tori the 2 examples that I recall seeing, really I thought were very underwhelming, because I want to say they were pretty expensive Iaito too, not like hundreds of dollars, but not thousands of dollars. But yeah, I didn't think they were great. Sword Armory has bamboo back in stock, but it's expensive. $14 a mat. They have tatami back in stock. Yeah, tatami's bananas in terms of cost right now. All right. Well, I am going to wrap it up here. So thank you, everyone. There's a few people still in here. Leon, I just saw near the bottom. Well, you might have a different opinion on it, but I was less a fan. I think if you're doing Iaito, then an Iaito from Japan tends to be pound for pound a little better experience for a training tool. But that's just me. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. I was actually only planning on going for an hour. Naturally, I'm a windbag and went on longer. Thank you, everyone, for the questions. Keeping it engaged. I appreciate that I can pop on here and talk swords for anytime. There's people willing to gab with me, and it's great. So thanks again, and I will work on videos. I'll have something probably tomorrow. Anyway, cheers. Thanks for watching.